I want to thank Have Life for letting us use this facility today. In my current occupation and vocation, as I stated earlier, I am a pastorate, but tonight I am a woman talking to women. Yes. Do I have any ladies in the house? These conversations have been designed to talk to the everyday woman who are made. And we are made to be great. So if you're watching, then I'm talking to you. We live in unprecedented times, yet exciting, right? Last year, even into now, we are surviving this pandemic, this thing that we're just all trying to live in. Even this month, which is National Women's Month, we're celebrating the accomplishments of some outstanding women. In our studio audience, we have some amazing women who are doing great things all day, every day. The figurative and even the literal mountains that we have climbed and that we're climbing, the glass ceilings that we're shattering, the imprint that we're leaving on society, whether it be local, nationally, globally. We're celebrating women today. It's easy to forget sometimes many of the obstacles that they had to overcome or the women before us had to overcome or that we are overcoming today. And they can sometimes prevent us from future progress. And the past pandemic, if nothing else, has shown us that we can be introspective and we can reflect and determine who and what we are truly made of and what we will become. So when we lift women, we lift society. I just believe it is because we are made and we are made. So this is what I want to do today. I want to do an introduction to a series that I want to take these women or us women on a journey entitled M.A.D.E. And so we're going to break down the acronym of M.A.D.E. And the first one that I want to talk about is M.A.D.E. And the definition of M.A.D.E. just simply says possessing great and impressive power or strength, especially on the account or the account where size does not matter. So we as women, we possess great power, potential that goes beyond what you can see on the outside. Right? So, although we may be the weaker vessel, we are far from being weak. Hello, somebody. We might be the weaker vessel, but we are far from being weak. So, ask a woman who has had childbirth. Hello, somebody. Ask a woman who has maybe had to save their child from running out into the middle of the street. They can stop cars. They can move people. Ask a woman who has had to lose weight to fit into a dress. Hello, somebody. No pain, no gain. We're not weak. But we're made strong. We're mighty, right? So, women, we have been made. We are created and we are made. It is important for us and imperative for us to receive and resolve within ourselves that we are created to be great and do extraordinary things. That is the preface of what this whole thing is about, that we have been created to do great things. So when you learn the truth, I'm just giving an introduction to what we're doing. When you learn the truth about who you really are, you will never be the same. Agreed. When you do an introspection of who you are, right, you'll never be the same. And you'll respond differently. When you know who you truly are, when you accept the truth of who you really are, you will accept the change. There is nothing wrong with change unless you forget to tell me that you've changed. So during this pandemic, during this time that we've had some self-reflection, some influence, and some self-discovery, we can look back and say, I think I've changed, or I am becoming something different. I did the preface tonight to just even say, hey, I know who I am, but I know my name too. And first, before anything else, I am woman. Right? So you are a phenom that has been created to shatter and smash ideals, stereotypes, and lies that society has put on all of us. The harder life challenges come, or the harder life challenges push on you, the more people add and obstacles come. They make you stronger. So as we deal with this thing being created and we have to deal with all these things that we're going through, I just want us to take a moment of reflection, because sometimes we rely on the things that we can only see on the external until we have truly been transformed internally. And so taking this time, if you just, we want to take the time to do a self-reflection of what it looks like today. Who am I? How am I mighty today? How am I created today? How powerful am I today? How extraordinary am I today? And if once we know that internally, you won't allow pettiness or jealousy to rule you. Right? You want to allow low self-esteem to rule you, and you want to allow the opinion of others to rule you. So really taking the time, finding the power within to set peace. Peace is so valuable to everything that we do because we're the carriers of peace, right? When we walk into a room, we can shift the room, but we want to make sure that we can also cause peace into a room, order into a room, and most of all, we want victory wherever we go. We winning all the time. So look at your sister and say, we winning, we winning, we winning, we winning. So we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this. I have some amazing made and mighty women joining me today on stage and in our studio audience. And we just want to have some conversations. Okay, so the things that we talk about in our everyday lives, that's what I want to talk about today. Things we see, things we wonder about, why or how. This platform, we're going to do our part. We're going to do our part to respond to the everyday woman, how she responds, how she acts in her everyday life, or how she resolves things in her everyday life. This platform is going to allow us to have those conversations and ask those questions that free us into our truth of being made women. Y'all ready? Okay. Y'all ready? She ready. Okay. So, as women, we can talk. Y'all just giving me banter as we're talking right now. We're just having a conversation, right? Okay. And studies have shown that we naturally use more words than men. Okay? So I have a question. Okay? Do we really talk too much, or are we being unheard by choice? Okay, so I'm going to ask it again. Do we really talk too much because we have a lot of words, our vocabulary is extensive, or are we being unheard by choice?
So, Jackie.
Jackie.
This is Jackie.
Jackie.
Let me say something. Jackie today. So, that question, to me, it's loaded. Mm-hmm. You know, are we not being heard by choice? I am an outspoken person, and I'm fine with it today, but I was not always fine with it. Okay. So when you say, were we not being heard by choice, for me, it was my choice not to be heard. Because others could not take what I had to say and or how I had to say it, how I was saying it. Now, my mama didn't raise no fool. I'm not disrespectful in any way, but that doesn't mean you still liked what I had to say. I had something to say about everything. If you asked me, here it comes. I'm going to give it to you. And that caused me to maybe rub people the wrong way. So people got rubbed the wrong way. I was only answering a question, so did you want me to lie to you? Or did you want me to tell you the truth? Yeah. Right, you asked the question, here it is, here's the answer. So after a while, I became silent because people could not take such a big personality from such a small person. That's good. They couldn't handle what it was that I was able to give. I remember distinctly people would talk to me over the phone, and when they met me, they actually said, I thought you were bigger. Your voice is so big. I thought you were bigger. Than like, that's you, it's me, and I'm ready. But also what I realized is I allowed other people's insecurities to censor me. Whoa. That's good. It wasn't me. It was you. You had the issue. You had the problem. You didn't like what I had to say. You didn't like how I said it. So you put that on me, and I censored myself. And it took me a moment to come out of that, because then you have an outspoken woman, you have an outspoken person, then you have an outspoken woman, and then you have an outspoken black woman. Yes. So now this takes us into being the angry black woman. Right. Can I say what I need to say without being the angry black woman?
Right, and then also we were told like women are to be seen. Old days, you're just supposed to be seen and not heard. Right, and
Sit and look pretty.
Right, so having that conversation with the rising of women being in power. Hello, Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. Excuse me, I will be clear. With the uprising of women into power, we have to lead and we have to speak. Like no longer are we being silent. We're sitting and being silent, or we're being censored by what we have to say. But we have to speak because we're leading. A woman, and you said it, especially of color, especially women of color. We are seen as sometimes abrasive. Offensive, because I'm just being stern with my words. And Elder Tate, we had a conversation about this before, like, and you talked about where I would just say what I needed to say, and it wouldn't affect. I mean, whoever was around, they were just gonna catch what I had to say. Talk about that.
They're gonna catch it, and the same thing is in corporate America. I saw a study that women in general are often just talked over, or they can speak and then the people will just continue on as if they did not say anything. Wow. And I learned, people think that we're the angry black women, but they don't realize we're angry because of being unheard and overlooked and mishandled. So then when they respond, or when we respond, then it's a problem. So even though we have to work with the cards we're dealt sometimes, so even for me, like in corporate America, I had to learn how to sandwich things, say something nice, say what I have to say something else nice. I learned from my counterparts. They'll say, I agree with you. Even though they don't agree with you, you just say that to loosen it up, and then you say what you really want to say, and then they receive it. And so that we are often unheard in many environments, but then now that we know that, now it's on us to take the next action. So my anger doesn't make you hear me. The anger also causes another reaction from them. So now what can we do to empower ourselves so that we are heard?
You made the comment, you said we have to sandwich it. And I think that so that we're not seen as being offensive. Would anyone like to speak to how do we make ourselves less offensive?
I think there's a difference when you talk about offense. One of my favorite phrases is you can offend somebody without being offensive, and oftentimes that's about them. It's not about you. So if you're staying in the right demeanor and like in the right decorum, if they're offended, that's on you, boo. Like I just gave you the information. If you didn't like it, that's your response, right? But I think there's a difference between being aggressive and assertive, and so you got to find that sweet spot in the middle. And then when you're not using your voice at all and you're taking care of other people's feelings, then you're passive. So how do you find the spot in the middle to be assertive, not aggressive, not passive, but say how you feel without offending people?
That's so good. And so I think that it's important for us to make sure that we are using our words responsibly, right? Because we don't want any wasted words. We want our words to mean something. Like when you said what you needed to say, I meant what I said. I said what I said, and I meant what I said, and I meant it. But in that moment, understanding that, okay, I know that I have to use my words responsibly, but I know my words have power, and I know what I say is going to shake, vibrate every foundation that is around me. So when I speak, you should listen, because I do have something to say. Ain't nothing worse. My grandma used to say, ain't nothing worse than being around a silly woman. Don't nobody want to listen to no silliness. And so sometimes we have to make sure that we're using our words, right, responsibly. So thank you for sharing that. Let's move on to another topic. So we talked about our mouths. So now let's move on down the road just a little bit. Okay. So this body shaming thing. Okay? Right? Okay, let's just say it like this. Body shaming is not a new thing. It's been around for forever. Like forever. It's always been here. So body shaming is not a new thing. But we know we are all physically made in different and unique weights, shapes, heights, color shades. Oh, I'm just getting excited thinking about it because we baddies, okay? But as we are changing our mindsets, because we're not letting society dictate or rule how we facilitate in our spaces, how do we help change the way the world perceives strength and beauty. So I'm gonna ask the question again. How do we help to change the way the world perceives strength or beauty?
And I think a lot of that is
Come on, Beats by Tay.
being confident in who we are. You can be size 2 and dress to accentuate your figure, and you can be size 22 or 25, whatever the numbers are, and dress to accentuate your figure and walk with confidence and carry yourself confidently. I've seen women that look amazing, and you have no idea what size they are. They carry themselves so well. They accentuate what God gave them, and they look amazing. I went to Dominican Republic on the beach, and it didn't matter what size they were. They were in them bikinis. And I said, I need to come live here so I can get confidence, because they did not care. Young, old, no matter what, it was
out there. It was out there.
proud. And I said, well, this is awesome.
So let's talk about, is that a cultural thing though? Is that a cultural thing? I mean, studio audience, jump in. Is that a cultural thing where they just are not body shamed? They're free. I mean, they got even some new beaches. Hello, they just like, we're gonna live all the way free, because this is who I am and I am beautifully made. So in our culture though, it has been, and now we got this stuff, cancel culture, all this, I mean, all of this stuff is not new, right? It's just how we're responding to it today. So let's talk about that from a culturalistic perspective, that we're sometimes minimized and our beauty is minimized just because of the culture that we live in.
Well, we're always compared to the standard of beauty, the English, American, Anglo-Saxon, white standard of beauty, to be thin and to be quiet and to, have this demure demeanor. And we weren't even brought here like that. Like, we weren't even brought to this country in that way, right? And so, but then still sexualized. Hello? Dare we say that? Still sexualized. And so our parts and our figures have always been over-sexualized and taken advantage of. And so it brought shame into our what's the word? Our gene, our DNA. It brought some shame. And then even our skin. We made fun of each other. As African-American people, as black people, we made fun of each other. You so black this, or, whatever. Your hair so nappy this. And so I'm loving that our culture is evolving to embrace, listen to me, with my little baby locks. See my baby locks, y'all?
Can somebody say,
come on,
link,
my little baby locks. Right. So it doesn't even matter. Like, look at all the women up here. We all have different hair textures and different hair lengths, and we wear them differently, and it's all beautiful. So I appreciate you for this platform of being able to just have a variety of women here with a variety of voices and experiences.
So I'm gonna throw this in here. How do we overcome the shame part? Because we talk about how we would talk about each other, or we would go at each other, and it became very, centralized that colorism is a thing. And so how do we overcome that shame, the shame factor of I'm not ashamed, like I'm really proud of who I am and what I look like?
So I believe it's a learned behavior. So we have to knock down that wall. We have to tear down that wall of the learned behavior. I learned that my skin was darker. I didn't just know it. I was in a family, and it just so happened that my younger brother, my mother, my father, all were lighter skinned than I was. But I learned it when someone said, do you have the same mother or father? So we have to break down what we have learned. You have to be willing to let go of the negativity that you learned and that you experienced before you can even move on and say, I accept me. I got to accept me before I can even accept you and your skin. I can't accept you because I'm not happy with me. I don't understand me. I don't understand why this has happened, just in my, just in my life. Like, I don't look like my siblings, but we still have the same mom and daddy.
And I think that's where the shaming comes from, because when you have an insecurity in yourself, you tend to point it out to other people. So when you see someone else looking a certain sort of way, it's your own insecurity that you're projecting outwards. So then you put your shame on them, and now they're like, oh, I didn't even know that I was too dark, or I didn't know that I was too short, or I didn't know that I was, fill in the blank.
The same way I would say, it's funny to me how now that the things that people made fun of us for, having big legs, having hips, having a big booty,
For it.
these things.
BBL is for real. Okay?
Now, people are paying for these things.
Lift them up.
And I'm
High
like,
and
hey,
lifted, huh?
I have this from the Lord. Thank you. Okay? Down, but it's very interesting because I can remember times when people said things to me in high school about my legs or, something like that. And so I would never want to wear shorts because I didn't want to show my legs. I didn't want anyone talking about me. And then when I got married, my husband's like, girl, you better show them legs. You better show them thighs. Come on. So it is as a cultural thing, but we also have to love ourselves. And I think the more that we see other women with those shapes, with those positive attitudes, with that, not only just the courage of it, but hey, I can rock that. I can do that too. That brings some significant change for us as well.
So I think, and thank you all for sharing. Like, I love this, and I feel like we're getting a little loose now, so that makes me feel good. And I think that it's good that we have these conversations because we think it. We think about it, or we're brought these questions or these conversations. And so studies have shown that there are many reasons why we get jealous, from our own insecurities to being obsessively thinking, like we think way too much. Like I played basketball. I had to wear shorts, but I still hated the way I looked in the shorts, to being paranoid, having a paranoid personality, like they gonna think this or they're gonna look like this. So we have all of these tests and these studies that have shown that this is what, we experience as women, but we need each other. Yes. Like, I need you. Yes. Let me just turn around to both of y'all, all the way around. Say, I need you to tell me when I look wrong, but then I need you to tell me when I look good. Yes. Okay, so before we got started, let's just get free. I said, make sure we look right on stage. Don't have me up here looking like Boo Boo the Fool. I want to look right. Make sure I'm turning the right way. If I look thugged out, if my legs are open, if I just got too much showing, my hair's starting to get frizzy because it's so hot in here. Help me. I need my sister, right? So in an ideal world, women, we would see each other as part of a sisterhood. And that's what I love. Like, I love this platform that we're building. I told these ladies, I want to do life with you. I don't want to just make this on a Sunday or a Monday type of thing, but like, what's going on in your life? Like, I want to know what's happening. So building that sisterhood, not as a comparison, because we know comparison kills, jealousy destroys, but celebrating women for real, without feeling inferior, judged, or suspicious that we can't trust that chick. I don't do women well. So building that sisterhood, why can't? Let's just talk about it. What are some barriers? What are some barriers that you could see that we could overcome so that we can come together and really build this sisterhood? Because now we have Instagram, we have all these social media platforms where we see, and I was up on the phone last night talking to somebody. I said, okay, girlfriend, you are doing it. You look amazing. So we texting back and forth. I said, okay, what you eating? What you doing? Because I'm celebrating her. This chick done lost 38 pounds. I'm like, well, listen, hunty, help me be great, okay? But celebrating her victory, because this was something, she said, it was really hard. Because I love food. And I love food so much that I wasn't eating the right thing. So I'm celebrating her instead of being jealous or she's showing too much, she doing too. No, do it all, because you're that fabulous. You are made. You are a mighty, fierce, and force to be reckoned with, right? So how do we overcome together? How do we build this sisterhood? What are some practical things that we can do for one another to build this sisterhood?
That's good. I think part one is being confident in yourself.
Okay.
I'm not losing anything to celebrate another woman. You're only gaining. You're not losing anything. You're not losing anything. And I feel like when you realize that, you can continue to celebrate other women. And even in business, I'm a makeup artist. It doesn't matter to me if there's another makeup artist right beside me in my city that takes a class with me. What God has for me is for me. Honey, come on. You want to see what we do? I'll show you what we do. Because your mind is different, your heart is different, your techniques are different, your cultural experience is different. Everything about what comes out of you will be different. So why can't we love each other and celebrate each other and lift each other up? And when you sow that, that's what you're going to get back.
That's so good. And go ahead. You want to say something? Yeah, I'm sorry.
You sure?
Yes.
I absolutely love that. We were talking a little earlier, and I said, I can't stand it. I hate it when I hear ladies say they can't have female friends. It to me, that's something within you that says you just want to be the top woman. You just want to be in top. That's why you hanging with guys, because you just want to be the only woman. They're going to give you all the accolades. They're going to say everything. You don't have to share the platform. You don't have to share the spotlight. And I cannot stand.
I didn't think about that.
I can't stand it. I don't like that, because there's enough room for us all. There's enough space for us all. God gave us all talents. And this is something that I realized. I'm not built for what you got.
That's so good.
I'm built for me. Yes. God built me to handle my stuff. Yeah. My stuff is a lot. Yeah. And I don't know how I handled it all if it not for the grace. Yes. But that's what I'm built for. I'm built for my gifts. I'm built for my talents. You're built for your gifts and your talents. So it's okay for me to celebrate you, even if we share the same gifts and talents. Yeah. Even if we can do the same thing. I don't want to be jealous. As a matter of fact, how can I help you? Yes. How can I push you? Yes. How can I take you forward? Yes. Why can't we? And it's not me taking you where I'm going or you taking me where you're going. No, I just want to push you. Sometimes you climbing on a ladder and you just need that little push. Why can't we push? Yeah. Why can't I do that? Oh, because I'm still at the bottom? Actually, I'm not. I'm at the top of wherever God has me.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Hey, started from the bottom and now we going up. Huh? Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
And just to piggyback on what Nika said, and I mean this in all seriousness, I have learned so much from M.A.D.E the Stallion. Like, I am dropping it low, grabbing my knees. My husband appreciates it. But listen, I needed to learn. Just because I'm married and I'm a Christian don't mean that I can't get nasty. And I have. And that's what but if I would have looked at her like, why she doing all that? Why she looking like that? No, how you put your ankles down there with your arms and I got it. And I got it. And he's very happy. But that's
and
the
you'll
point.
be better for him.
Big thighs save lives.
Big thighs! Yes! But thinking about it, like, so, I mean, and she's doing her, I mean, she's like 26, right? She's young, killing it. I mean, I watched part of the Grammys, and she was just like so excited that Beyonce was on the stage with her, right? She was just so excited, like, oh my God, Beyonce's up here. But she's like, no, I'm looking at you like, you're doing it. Like, I celebrate you. And understanding that even though we don't all do the same thing, we're still great and better together. Come on, ladies, let's get information. Let's get information. So, the approval from others does give us a higher sense of self-esteem at times. And so when I hear that I can do it, or my sister tells me, come on girl, you got this, you can do this, we're convinced that, okay, maybe, and it builds our self-esteem, it builds our self-confidence. It lets us to know it helps us to recognize, okay, I do have something of self-worth, and I should value what I offer. I should value what I have to offer just a little bit more. So, sometimes I feel like we care too much about what other people think. We just carry the weight of carrying. We carry it way too much of caring too much. If we know that we're already fearfully and wonderfully made, what is it going to take? This is my question. What is it going to take for us to believe it? So like we're saying this and I'm encouraging you. And I have a literary expert genius in our studio audience who uses words to uplift women. And what is it going to take for us to believe that we are made, that we are fearfully and we are fierce and we are wonderfully made? What is it going to take for us to believe that?
I think it's really important to take stock of who you are and to know for yourself. Like Tavia was saying earlier, it's like a self-confidence, it's self-esteem, because when you hear the little voices around you, it tends to give you self-doubt. And so, but if you can take care of yourself and just say, I do like the way my, little ankle is, or, I just, whatever it is, or I do like my little crooked eye, or whatever. I do like my little baby locks. I'm rocking my little baby locks. Like, whatever it is, if you can learn to appreciate it for yourself. She's cracking up at me. If you can learn to appreciate it for yourself, then the noise doesn't matter. Then you really stop caring about what anybody else thinks because you're like, I think I'm cute today. And you just walk in that confidence and not worry about the noise, not worry about the opinions, not worry about what other people are saying.
And I wanted to add on, it took me a while to get to that point.
Absolutely.
Like in high school, I hung around all boys.
Yeah.
Because the girls was like, you just think you so pretty, and so that made me become a tomboy. I dressed like a boy. I went through my Aaliyah stage all the way up until the baggy clothes. I had the baggy clothes, the vest, the whole nine, up until my sophomore year. See? Up until my sophomore year in college. And then that's when I met my best friend, and she was like, no, but you don't have to take what was put on you in high school and carry that. So it took me a while to get over the fact that I was, the tallest one or the skinniest one, because I was a twig up until I had my first child. And I was like, oh, well, the boys don't like you because you're too skinny or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? It is fine. I met my husband. He loves it. And now I got a few rolls, some extra rolls. I call myself slim thick. I may not be slim thick, but hey, as long as my husband think I'm slim thick. But for me, it just, because they beat me down so much in high school, it literally took a long time for me to embrace who I was, the tall one, the skinny one,
I think it's common that it takes
Yes.
us a minute to develop into that
Yeah.
space. You know what I mean? Because as teenagers and as girls, we are constantly kind of put against
Yes.
each other. But once you get into this thing, you start to enjoy your hips and your curves and your extra rolls and your little, whatevers. I think that it just takes a while to get used to your uniform.
Yeah,
And I got ladies up here that are mom of girls, and so having the conversation with them, and let's talk about that a little bit, like the younger generation coming behind us. I think because I notice a dichotomy of two things happening. Some are very silent, but then some are expressively loud, meaning they express themselves to the world, but you don't really know what's going on internally. So how do we address that to our younger girls that are coming behind us?
That is so good, and that's exactly what I was thinking about when she was speaking. This forum is so amazing that we get to talk, and then even transferring that to our younger generation. So I have an 8-year-old little girl, and I ask her, what happened at school today? Who did you talk to? What did you all talk about? And there are times when what they said to Alicia, she could say to me, Mommy, they said this, this, and this, but in our wisdom and our age now, I can say, well, baby, that's what they really do think about you. They really think you're all that. So now they're trying to make it a negative thing. That's how they see you. Don't take that personal. Continue to be who you are. And so even as you've encouraged us to talk openly, us doing that with our daughters and nieces and nephews and godchildren and neighborhood children continues to foster that truth with them talking and us encouraging them to talk and be open and honest, and then us sharing that truth and that confidence that we've come into.
I love it.
So I have adult daughters.
Yes.
And so when they were younger, I was still learning too, because I was a young mom. So I was still learning too. I was still learning how to be me. So now I'm a young mom, I'm a young wife. I'm still young. I'm still trying to figure out if I even like me. I'm still trying to figure these things out. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm supposed to fit in society. How in the world do I have these 2 young brown girls, and then eventually 4 brown girls? My God.
They multiply.
My God. They do multiply. Kids multiply. How do I get them to understand that they can be their authentic self? Because I had the problem with being my authentic self. So how do I get them? So then we did have, conversations. So listen, I raised 6, so 6 different how was your days goes, listen, I'm tired. I'm tired by the time I get to number 4 or 5. I'm tired. But also the girls had more to say about their day. Even if they weren't giving me all of the information, they still had more to say about their day that I could help shape a little bit better. So there were some times where we would talk and I would say, how did you feel about that? Because nobody asked me how I felt about whatever was happening, whatever was going on. They didn't ask me, but now, how did you feel about that? What did you feel when that happened? So I may not have always corrected it the way you did. That's how they feel. But I definitely gave them a platform to be able to speak their mind. And then my oldest, Ebony, she's so outspoken. Yeah, she said things with her face, so it was her facial expressions that really allowed me to know that there was something either right, there was something either wrong, but I still encourage that, and I think that we need to do that. I think from the top of this conversation even to now, everything stems from being confident in who you are. Yes. Everything stems from becoming. Yes. What are we becoming? Where do we go from here? Even at whatever ages we are, 20-something, 30-something, 40-something, where do we go from here? What do we become now?
I think with my girls, I have 5. Y'all pray for me. Yes. 5 girls, but one of the things that I'm really proud of is that when an issue comes up with one of them, it becomes a conversation amongst all of us. So we are learning from each other's decisions, mistakes, situations, even my own, in kind of revealing some of my own personal stuff from the past. It's like, well, listen, this is what I was feeling, and I identify with that, and this is what I would encourage of you. And the sister would chime in and say, well, it just seems this way. So we really have good conversations, and I'm proud of that for my girls. I'm proud of that because I'm hoping they don't go through some of the junk I go through, or went through. And then even when they are in that space that feels something really familiar, we're all encouraging of each other, and we're supporting each other. And sometimes you just got to watch your sister go through it, but we love you and we're cheering for you, and this is what we hope for you. And so it's not abandoning your sister when she is in a tough space.
I think that's really good that, sorry, please, go.
And I was going to say, I have a preteen. She'll be 13 in June. My. So it's different now. I have 2. She's the shyer of the 2. And so she would come home, and she's in middle school. She would come home and talk about how she wouldn't ask questions because she was so afraid that people would laugh at her. And so when the pandemic hit, she was more comfortable being home because she was so timid. So I'm trying to express to her that, no, come out of your shell, because when she's home, she's alive. She is alive. So I need you to be alive when you're out in the public. She is literally alive to the point where, and I talked to Melissa about this the other day, where I thought I might have to take it down to the ground because she is almost looking me in my eye. And so I'm like, I need you to understand that I am still your mother. I don't care if you are getting ready to be 13, but when you are in this house, you will still follow my rules. But the way you are staring me in my eye like this, I need you to have that same mentality when you're in public. Don't feel ashamed or feel embarrassed, that you can't speak out in public, because then you're hiding your voice. And I'm trying to teach her, because I don't want her to go through some of the things that I went through. Be vocal. Now, my youngest, that's a different story. She, whatever comes out of her, to her mind comes out of her mouth. So I'm trying to teach her how to censor herself just a little bit, because everything is not meant to be said. So it's balance. Yes,
and it's so funny how you have different children in the same house with different personalities. Yes. It's like we all in the same house. When you different from you, different from you, different from you, and you have to parent them all differently and cater to them differently. It's a journey, honey.
But I also think that we have an issue. Well, let me not superimpose anything on anybody else. But I didn't grow up being able to say everything. And so I have a question for all of you ladies. So how do we, make sure that our young ladies are saying what they need to say, are expressing themselves, are expressing their feelings, and not feeling like they have to be censored or they have to be quiet. It was do as I say. Period. Yes. Or like still you said, get taken down. Yes. I saw a meme that said my mama whooped me and she even killed me once. Listen, I'm here, but I got killed once. I made it. So, I would like to know, what do we do now? If you were the one that could not speak out, how do we encourage our young ladies to do that now?
I will honestly say, I think it's twofold. We have to teach them how to use the right language, but we also have to teach them body language. Because so many times they're using hands or they're, this whole thing. And so You know, I'm from the South Side. You come to me that way, then I'm ready to rise up right there with you. You know, 2 hits. Me hitting you, you hit the flow. So we got to get that thing, you know, together. But I have a daughter, and what I've had to help her understand is you can find your words, you can use your words, but this is how we're going to use them, because you can be misunderstood, which again takes us back to you become now this angry black woman. You know, and I don't want you to be an angry black teenager. My daughter, like myself, I was the only girl with 2 brothers. So she finds that she needs to be tough. And I'm like, no, you don't. They're little. You don't have to be tough with them. You don't have to do that. You know, so I think that's where sometimes our daughters and our girls are too. They feel they have to be tough. So in being tough, now I have to use this tough language. I have to show, I have to prove myself. And we still have to help them understand, but you still can be sweet. You can do things and be sweet and be soft. It's okay. You know, it doesn't hurt.
That's good. And I grew up similar to my sister, and we didn't communicate those things. But now I'm teaching my children, it's okay to say that you're upset. I'm okay with you being upset. I'm okay with you being upset with me. You can be upset with me. Okay, that's how you felt about that. Tell me how that made you feel. Let's talk about it. And I feel like we're helping our children be healthier and find themselves instead of me. And most of my siblings, we pretty much found ourselves like mid-30s. We didn't know what we necessarily liked. We didn't share who we were authentically. We pretty much became a bubble of what was projected or wanted and desired. And of course, they have the best of intentions. They want us to be good, successful, God-fearing people, but I still need to be me, and I shouldn't have to lose myself to be that.
I think that's so good, and I agree with you. Like, I can kind of just tag on to that same thing. My sister now is like, I really like who you are, but like, I'm 44, right? And so it took me this long to get to that space, and like, we like each other. Like, she's like, let's go on so she ready to go on a trip. She ready to live her best life. She's like, we can go out and have a good time. But we didn't talk about those things as sisters. It was kind of like you stay in your corner, or it was just, you know, everything would just break out into just chaos and mayhem. So I appreciate you sharing that, because similar stories. So just finding, as women, I think that we are all matriculating through finding voices and finding out what that looks like. I thank Michelle Obama, who's amazing and has done a great job with her installments of her book, and just allowing us to become our authentic selves. Like, this is who I really am, a fun person. I don't like, I will get the trenches with you, but if you want to turn up and have a good time, let's go, let's do it. You want to celebrate, what you got going on? How can I help you? How can I serve with you? How can we be good together? And I think that it was said a couple of moments ago that just learning how to have those conversations and being graced with patience. Being graced with patience and learning that it just doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it takes time, and we have to navigate through patience. And we know that patience is a virtue, but it has been tested. It has been
Time and time again.
Every day.
Every day. This year, I'm like, I don't care what y'all eat tonight. Like, I'm gone. Deuces.
What's for dinner?
Eat.
Whatever you make.
And be merry. But patience has been tested. And so majority of ladies, we've seen it throughout this pandemic, and we've seen, you know, because we've had to be wife, we've had to be mother, we've had to be sister, we've had to be cook, we've had to be educator, we've had to be, all of these different hats that we're wearing. I'm noticing that some ladies are running. They're running, and it's overwhelmingly alarming to me to hear some of the stories of women like, I just can't take anymore. And now you see not their best versions of who they are, and it seems like it's something that could have been addressed if they just would have had a chance to talk. If they would have had a space like this to say, no, this is how I'm feeling. Like, we turning tables over, we going in, right? Because this is how I feel. But having that space. So how can we help ladies? How can we help our women that are in our lives, that we see the stories that we're dealing with, or the conversations that we're having, how can we help ladies or women stay in formation of who they are and not run away to becoming their best self?
I think what happens is, I feel like a woman gets to a point where she realizes that, if she's going to a certain sort of place and she's realizing maybe her environment doesn't match what she's looking for in her head. And so instead of trying to change the environment, alter the environment, mature the environment with her, she's just up and out. She's just gone. Yep, and just leaving the environment. But I think part of our journey is about teaching the people around us, and you said it earlier, is there's nothing wrong with change as long as you let the people know that you're changing. And so letting the people know around you, like, listen, I'm not making dinner 5 days a week anymore. That's not on the agenda. DoorDash is your friend. Those microwavables are your friend.
Hello.
Them paper plates are your friend.
Your best friend.
Who's doing dishes? Not me.
Not I.
Like, it's about changing the mold of maybe what you first signed up for, and at some point you realize this is exhausting. I can't do all of this. So something's got to go. And if it's me, then I'd rather leave all y'all behind. But just allowing the environment to change with you, and growing people to change as you develop new boundaries.
I think that's great. And I think our issue, though, is we don't know how to tell you that we're changing. Or we don't know how you're going to respond to me telling you that I'm changing. Yeah. And so with that, I'm so grateful for my husband. He tells me, like, he's like, whatever you want, honey. Like, just because sometimes I tell him I want to do something, and he's like, you sure you want to? And are you sure? Are we going to discuss this? No, sir. We're not discussing this. This is what's happening. It's going down. I thank you so much for all of your support. This is happening. Whatever this is. And I'm grateful that he is willing to walk with me throughout the different changes that I'm still trying to navigate. Yeah, I'm still trying to navigate all these changes, but I think a lot of times we don't know how to express that we're changing, or we don't know how someone else is going to respond to our changing. And so we don't, it's not that we don't change, we just don't say anything, and we try to tiptoe around our change because of someone else's response, or how it may be seen and or perceived. So again, I wanted to do something, and my husband was like, you're getting a little older. I am. Absolutely. That's not changing. But I also said, when else would I have been able to do what I'm asking you for? 6 kids, bad credit, no time off.
That's real.
I'm about to be an empty nester. I'm free. I'm free. Like right now, Marie Callender's is my son's friend. Like, I make sure the freezer is stacked because I don't want you looking at me crazy.
And the house don't burn down.
And the house does not burn down. So I think the problem is, again, we need to have our voice and be okay with your voice. Be okay with expressing yourself, and be okay, as you said, Tavia, it's okay if you're mad at me. It's okay if you don't like what I said. We can discuss it. We can wait a little while. We can talk about, but this is what's happening in me now.
Because if I'm digging you, I'm not going nowhere. Like, you could be upset. You could be, and even as sisters, like, be upset with me. I would rather you be upset than just shun me. Or you feel in some type of way and I don't know. Tell me how you feel, because I'm down with you.
Yes.
If you go through, that's cool. If you're upset with me, that's fine. If you're upset with whatever's going on, if I don't know it, I can't address it, right? And so now we got a bigger problem, because who am I to you?
That's good.
Wow.
I definitely, in the beginning of my marriage, was a runner. I mean, Jackie Joyner Kersey, I would run, you know? Jackie done called me a few times, Crystal, where are you? But it was because I was trying so hard to do things to get my husband to accept me, to create a sense of belonging. And then when it didn't come, I felt unfulfilled. I felt unappreciated. And I was creating an environment that I didn't even enjoy. So it was like, okay, well, I don't like it here, so let me go. I don't feel appreciated here, so let me go. But he's like, I didn't even ask you for all of this. Yeah. You did this because you have some things that you need to deal with on your own. Wow. That you're trying to fill, these voids you're trying to fill. And so once I did that, you know, things become better. And I haven't ran in a long time.
I'm so proud. You put your shoes on the hanger. Good job. She traded for some heels, y'all. Hey, I told you, she mega. All right. She love it. That's awesome. I have thoroughly enjoyed our time, ladies. This has been amazing. I wanted to give a small space to those who might have questions in the audience. If we have some questions that they might want to share. We have questions? Yes. Awesome. Go ahead.
Yes. So as women, we have a lot of things pulling at us, you know, work, family, everything else. So how do you nourish yourself?
Oh my gosh, that's
Self-care.
That is self-care.
Listen, I am big on self-care. I think, oh gosh, selfish is not a dirty word. Can I say that?
Yes.
Selfish is not a dirty word. I think along the way, it's become this stain when you when you make yourself a priority, then you're deemed selfish. But I think we need it for self-preservation. We need it for self-worth. We need it for self-esteem. You need to fill yourself up so that you're giving from a full cup, an abundant cup, not from your emptiness. And so to nourish you have to do what you need to do to preserve yourself. Otherwise, you're depleted. You're giving everything to everybody, and then you left sitting around like, don't nobody love me. I hate this place. I hate it here. Drop it. So I really think that we need to ingrain ourselves with some degree of selfishness. Not in a spiteful way, not in a petty way, but ingrain yourself with some degree of selfishness.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, please do so.
And I definitely feel like we have to nourish ourselves on purpose. So create a village that when I leave, depart, vacation, go on a me-cation, my own staycation. I went on a vacation to the beach by myself for 3 days, and I had the best time. It was amazing. I said, I could have done this for a week.
I love me.
But every woman needs to do that at some frequency. But we need to have a village. We need to have a list of friends, our village that we can call that can do X, Y, and Z. And we need to be able to nourish ourselves. If you need a little savings account for your nourishing, create that savings account so that you can get away and do what you need to do. But we need to be intentional and prepare and plan. Plan for your nourishing because we really do need it. We give so much mentally. Like my husband is amazing. He helps out so much with the children. But sometimes when I'm talking to somebody, I explain to another young mom that even though both of you are there raising your child, you're holding all this information and what needs to be done in your brain and my head. When even going on a trip, what's packing? I know exactly what needs to be in these bags. That's in my head. And my husband does an incredible job executing. He does an incredible job doing anything. Baby, how can I help you? What do you need? But the weight of our thoughts and what we restore and hold on into in our brains is tiring in itself. It's tiring in itself, and so it's important for us really to nourish. We're our own people. We're different people. We're different than men. Every woman is different, and women are different from men, and we just need to acknowledge that and do what we need to restore ourselves.
That's good. That's good.
Next question.
Yes, so during our conversation about body shame, Anissa said that we have to love ourselves. So how do we start our journey in the process of loving ourselves, because we know that it doesn't happen overnight?
That question, so let me speak from our own perspective. I think you have to, first of all, you have to look at yourself. And you have to say, girl, you doing that today. I love that about you, you know. And what you have is uniquely given to you. It's who you are. It's a kind of a tattoo or your brand of who you are. So I think when you look at it as, this is my brand, this is who I am, but how am I carrying that brand? How am I using that? Crystal made a great example using M.A.D.E. Stallion. She's using her brand, what she does and what she's doing. If I carry myself and I poise myself in such a way to show, hey, I may have this, but I carry it well. And so I think that's a big part of getting out of the shame of that, because it's your body. You don't have to be shamed.
I think we also have to learn ourselves. Sometimes we don't know ourselves well. Other people know us better than we know ourselves. Other people know how we will react, how we will respond better than we actually do. So I think you have to learn yourself. And in learning yourself, you can become comfortable with who you are. And then also, it's okay to be around other people that are like you. It's okay. It's not a competition, but find someone else that, may have similar shapes. So, so the first thing I say is when I see a short woman, like, where you get your pants from? Because I need to know. Where can we get these pants? Where there is a specialty store? Like, is it online? Where do you get them? Like, I don't, it doesn't, I'm not trying to wear what she's wearing. I just need to know where to go. I just need information. Give me information. So I think you have to learn yourself, and then once you learn who you are, you can become more comfortable in it. As Jackie was saying, she had a friend that lost 38 pounds, and I realized I love food too much and to do that. That doesn't work for me.
And accepting
so
that.
I learned it and I accept it. That's just not what's gonna work for me. I'm gonna have to do something else. Yeah. But do you, boo? Yeah. I'm happy for you and I'm gonna celebrate you. So you have to learn yourself and you have to accept yourself.
And I think too, in accepting yourself, being realistic, like if you have hips, your auntie have hips, your mama have hips, the chances of you not having hips, no matter how much you work out, they're not going to go away. So embrace them. You're busty. Everybody in your family is busty. You're not going to wear your back out a lot, okay? And I think accepting that will help you learn how to love yourself.
Absolutely. Accentuating your features, your assets. Dare I say assets?
Yeah, assets, yes! I caught you. So I think a part of everything that you guys just said, a big part of the way that we can love ourselves is to share. And finding that space, loving myself is to share me. Because you are awesome. You are amazing. You are made. It is a great experience to be in your space. I want to be around you. So sharing the authentic you is a huge part of your love. I don't think that anybody benefits when we hide the love that we have for ourselves once we've learned it, once we've identified it. So sharing it, and having space where I feel better. You shouldn't leave your space feeling less than or feeling beat down or overwhelmed or exhausted. But being in that space where I've shared, I might not have said a lot, but I learned a whole lot today. And I go back home and I think about, that was really good and I feel good. Like, what we doing next? Where we going? Happy hour, what's happening? Where we going? What's happening after this? Where we going? What we doing? Because it just feels so good. It filled me up and it built a greater sense of self-awareness even for me, that I do love myself and I do understand that I am beautifully made. And once I identify with that and I can share it with others, then I think we conquer and we have that victory with one another. So I know we have more questions and I cannot wait for us to come back together again where we can have these moments together. Studio audience, we're going to make this room real big. We're going to unmask and I want to hear what they have to say. We're going to come back and share with one another as we journey through this series entitled M.A.D.E. It is going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it. Share it with some of your friends. Say you do not want to miss this. It's great conversation for women in a safe space where we just have conversations with one another and just love on each other, building that sisterhood and having a good time. If you had a good time, say whoop, whoop. Where the DJ at? We're going to go out. We're going to have a good time. But I just want you to find somebody that you can talk to. If you haven't said hello to somebody else, and just say, hey, I'm so glad that you came tonight. Thank you for being a part of this. And if you have some things that you would like to share, please let us know. We're going to make sure that that information is available to you so that you can be a part of our conversation. Enjoy the M.A.D.E. series. We'll see you again.